I'm really excited about our guest today. She is an amazing woman who I had the honor of just recording her podcast with her actually just a few days ago. I'm excited for that to come out and for you guys to hear it. But if you have not done some Google stalking on Amberly already, go ahead and do that now. Get your stalking out of the way now, because if you came here for a one-on-one rodeo, basic road show, it's not a place for you, because we're getting into the real stuff. We're getting into the strategies. We're getting into the tactics. If you're looking for like a 101 overview of who Amberly is, you got to do that homework on your own, because you're not going to get it here. So do a little Google stalking on her if you haven't already. But Amberly is an amazing entrepreneur. She is a motivational speaker. As I just said, she is a podcast host. She's just an all in all powerhouse person who talks about how grit and motivation can work you through, and grace can work you through even the hardest of circumstances. So I thought she would be a perfect person for us to talk to today, because if you can believe it or not, we are less than 90 days. That's right, a little scary, less than 90 days away from 2022. So if there are goals that you're still wanting to accomplish, if there are things that are still on your to-do list, that promotion, that raise, that year end, and you're like, I gotta get to my goals. I gotta work it out. I gotta motivate and get myself there. This is going to be the perfect session for you, because Amberly is about to motivate us all in these last 90 days to get to our goals. So please raise your glass from wherever you are and help me in welcoming Amberly.
Welcome me. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. I have my favorite mug. It's got a broken handle, but it's still my favorite mug. And I am so happy to see you, Kim, and everyone here. So thanks for having me.
I am excited for you to be here with us. And I always ask this question because I think the way that people answer it is so fascinating. But obviously, I like to brag about you. You've had a lot of accomplishments. You've done a lot of amazing things. But if you yourself are meeting somebody in a coffee shop, or you're at a party and somebody asks the question, what do you do? As someone who does so much, author, podcast, speaker, all that, what do you actually tell them?
Well, I always say I feel grateful and blessed that I get to do what I love, which is really connecting with other people. And the way that I do that is I get to go to events. Thank goodness, traveling again. I leave tomorrow to go to Texas. I'll be really close to you. So I speak at events, conferences, I hold workshops, I have a mastermind, and I also connect with people through my podcast, which I'm so grateful you were interviewed just a couple days ago. So I love connecting with people, and I love sharing everything that I've learned along my journey, to help them get from point A to point B faster. Because boy, have I sure made a lot of mistakes, and I don't want anybody else to have to make those same mistakes.
Well, we don't want to make those mistakes either, which is why I'm so excited that you're here today and we get to, copy your homework and figure out exactly how we're going to get from point A to point B. And I'm curious for you because, again, hopefully people did their homework, but if not, Amberly was unfortunately in a really challenging accident, and the recovery was long and arduous. 34 surgeries,
Yes.
30, 35, 34 surgeries. I mean, bananas, really, really crazy. And I'm curious, for people that are maybe feeling a little stuck, maybe feeling like their goals are really far away. I mean, as someone who went from a really bad accident to 34 surgeries later, coming out the other side, what is that motivation that kind of helps you get up every day and say, we got to keep tackling the hard things?
Well, yeah, I first of all, I pray that no one ever has to be hit by an SUV like me, but 34 surgeries, if I would have thought about 34, I don't know if I would have gotten through the first surgery. It's kind of like anyone who's ever wanted to lose weight, like whether it's 100 pounds or 50 pounds or even 20 pounds, if you think about that big number, it's overwhelming. And so I had to really focus on doing things one day at a time, sometimes one moment at a time, 1 minute at a time. And I think, first of all, I feel blessed that my daughters have been my biggest inspiration, and I wanted to be an example of someone who's resilient. And I think we all have a choice. We can either be a victim or a victor. And we've all seen over the past year and a half that things don't always go as planned, but we get to decide how we're going to react and what we're going to do no matter what. I had a 1% chance of saving my leg from amputation. And some of us maybe after March of 2020 had a 1% chance of saving our business. Maybe some people after being in quarantine thought, I got a 1% chance with my marriage. Whatever that 1% chance was, it's really important, and resilient people know and pay really close attention what they put their energy and what they put their focus on. So I really think it's important to focus on what you can change and not what you can't change. And, I have people ask me a lot, like, well, how did you learn to walk again? Because I was told I'd never walk again. I was told that I'd be wheelchair bound for the rest of my life. And I really had to focus on just being able to stand up for seconds at a time, and then being able to use crutches and being able to get from my hospital bed to the bathroom on my own was, believe it or not, one of my biggest goals. And then I think it's really important to celebrate those small victories along the way. If you're just getting caught on this hamster wheel where you're just thinking, I've got to do, I've got to go, I've got to do all these things, but you're not stopping to be in the moment and really celebrate even the smallest of victories or successes that you've had. Life can get pretty dull, or you can get burnt out. So I think it's important to focus on starting where you are, using what you have, and doing what you can, and then baby stepping it sometimes all the way.
I love the idea of baby steps. And I'm curious for you. I know Jen's here with us today and she's a big fan of Post-it notes. I also love a good office supply run. But I'm curious, when you think about baby steps, you got the Post-it notes too.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you think about baby steps, is that something where you are kind of putting that Post-it note of, okay, today I'm going to do this one thing? Or how do you structure your baby steps? Do you set it up by week? Do you set it up by month? Like, I guess like how? Like if I'm someone who's like, I got you, Amberly. Yeah, baby steps, check. But then I actually am like, okay, but how do I do that? How do I implement it for myself?
I think it's really important to write those things down. And
Write them
I
down.
love sticky notes, and I love highlighter pens, and I love different sticky notes. I have them right on my desk. And I think it's important, once you know what your goal is, to write that down and then start writing down the action steps that you need to take every day, every week, and have a clear vision of when, like a deadline.
Deadline.
Oh my goodness. For instance, when I wanted to write a book, first of all, I didn't even own a laptop. I knew I wanted to write a book, had no idea how to do it. And so I knew what I had to do was start. And so I
Mhm.
started writing. I ended up writing probably 80 or 90% of my whole entire book by hand. And I had people going, "Oh, you will never write a book. You're that fitness girl. Come on, you'll never do it." And I thought, well, I am going to do this. I need to go buy myself a laptop. Well, I didn't really, this is only 5 years ago, by the way. I didn't know how to really use a laptop. My whole life had been spent on the dance floor and then the gym floor. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to type up this manuscript. And so I bought a laptop. I didn't know how to really work it. So I signed up for a free class at Apple. I raised my hand. Anybody got a question? I'd be like, yes, me. I have a question. And he even stopped me in class and said, I've never had anyone raise their hand as much as you. Like, most people are kind of embarrassed. And I said, I'm not embarrassed. I have a goal and I need to know how to do this. So I think it's also really important to write down everything that you need to write down, and all step by step, what are the things that you need to do. then it's important to surround yourself with people who also are doing things that they're paving the way to success. So I was telling a few friends, family members that I wanted to write a book. They had never written a book. They're like, I don't think you can do that. But when I went to someone who had already published 75 best-selling, books, he's like, of course, this is what you need to do. Get your manuscript, write a proposal. Maybe you ought to go take a writing class, go to this conference for authors. And so it's important to surround yourself with people who have already paved their way to success and to get counsel, not opinion. So, opinion is from people who've never done what you want to do. Counsel is from people who have already done the things that you want to do or that you're doing. And so, yes, write it down, have an end date, a goal in mind, and then have accountability. Really important to have people that you're accountable to. So maybe that's a mentor, maybe that's a coach, maybe that's being in a mastermind, but really have somebody that you can be accountable to.
And I love this point from Rachel when we're really talking about those baby steps and setting deadlines. If it's something you've never done before, so like using your example of writing a book, how do you know how long to set how do you know, does a manuscript take me 1 month to write? Does a manuscript take me 6 months to write? Like, how do you know what deadlines to set if it's something you've never done before?
That is such a great question, Rachel. And you know what? Everybody's so different in their goals. Somebody who wants to lose 50 pounds, but their whole, genetic makeup, where they live, how much they exercise, what they eat, their goal is going to be a little bit different from somebody who wants to lose 50 pounds, but they have more time to work out. They have more, healthy eating habits and better quality of food to choose from. Their end date might be a little bit different. So I'm always blown away by people who say, oh, I wrote my book and it just poured out of me. I'm like, it took me a year to write my book. It took a long time. So everybody's a little bit different. I think it's important to set up realistic goals for yourself and then make tiny adjustments along the way. But again, ask other people who've already done it before you, but then don't lose track of what really works for you. We're all a little bit different, whether we have kids, if we're single, married, what our work schedule is your goal a side hustle? How much time can you commit to that goal? So I think it's really important to set up realistic time frame. So yes, so you don't get burnout, but also so you stay in the game and you set those deadlines so you can keep going forward and have something to strive towards. But yeah, being realistic about your goals. And like I said, everybody's a little bit different. And again, I think that's why it's important to talk to people who've already done it before you to get an idea if you've never done that before. Like, honestly, Kim, I did not realize that I thought, okay, I've written this manuscript. Now I'm going to publish it. And I had no idea the publishing part of a book is a year long. So in that process, I had a whole other series of goals like marketing and branding and other things that I was like, okay, new sticky notes, new goals, new ideas. And so I think, sometimes we're surprised that it takes a little bit longer than we thought.
Well, and I love this idea from Regina about how not only do you need deadlines, but the accountability. And you said something that I just want to kind of dive deeper in on because I think it was so, so brilliant, which is there's a difference with opinions. Opinions are people that have never done whatever it is that you're trying to do before. I feel like that hits home for a lot of us because whether it is something in your personal life, like losing weight, or it's something in business, like getting that promotion or starting that side hustle or whatever, people got a lot of opinions. What do I say? Opinions are like buttholes. Like everybody's got one. So it's like everybody's got an opinion about what you're doing and if it's possible. But I really love your point of instead focusing on who is telling you that. And is it somebody that's actually done it before? And I think that accountability is more important than accountability of, oh, here's my friend and she has an opinion that I can do it or not do it?
Oh, for sure. And you know what? Actually, one of the questions I get a lot from people is, why did I keep going to different doctors? I mean, I was diagnosed with this incurable nerve disease and told that I would never work again and that, I would be permanently disabled and be in a wheelchair. And I was like, that just can't be my life. And so I kept going to different doctor after doctor after doctor until I found a doctor that would believe in me and my ability to walk again. And I think sometimes it's important to really it especially if you're having a hard time believing in yourself, sometimes it helps to have somebody around you that can believe in you, even if it's that 1% belief in you until you can believe in yourself. And so, yes, having people that have already paved the way before you because they are going to help you believe in yourself. And like you said, everybody has an opinion. And a lot of times those opinions, like my husband, he's like, okay, I know when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And I'm like, yeah, by the way, I'm going to write another book. And he's like, I have no doubt you will. But at first he was like, okay, whatever, Amberly. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. And then I think he was in disbelief when the books came, and they came in 2 pallets delivered. Like, I ordered that many books, 2 pallets of books in the driveway, and he's like, "Holy cow." And so, yeah, I think sometimes these opinions, people wanna kinda protect us, like, "Don't try that. You're not gonna succeed. Let me just help you out there." But that's why I'm so passionate about and that's why I'm so passionate about the mastermind that I've started, because a lot of times I wish that I would have had a group of entrepreneurs that could come together and they could share their experience and their strengths. And because look, I've spent a lot of money on things that I've wasted trying to build a course, or when I, had someone who told me they were in marketing and they were going to do all these things. And it's like all the things that I figured out along the way, I want to share those things because when I had my book, I had 0 following. Like, I had an Instagram account with about 88 people, and they were mostly my friends and family, and it was basically to stalk my oldest daughter. And my publisher was like, "We do not do any marketing or branding for you. If you want to get your book out to the world, you're gonna have to do that yourself." And so I'm like, "Holy cow, what does that even mean? How do I market and brand myself?" And I literally spent at least probably 3 hours a day, every single day, getting my message out there, trying to build my platform on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, which I'm learning more about from you. You're the queen of LinkedIn. All these different platforms I had to learn from scratch. Like, how do you optimize your Instagram? How do you get to 10,000 followers so you can do that swipe up? And so it's been a learning experience, and I'm happy to share any of that with y'all.
I'm curious, if you encountered like a version of yourself today who's like, I'm starting from scratch with social media, let's say. What do you think, you've kind of been through this journey. If you were starting today, that you would tell somebody to do, or maybe not to do? Like, don't waste your time with this, but instead do this.
I would say really focus because there's so much out there, right? There's so much social media. There's so many different what with TikTok, I mean, Pinterest, I mean, there's always Clubhouse now. It's like there you could literally be on social media all day long. It could be a full-time job. I would say it's really important to see where your message is really starting to generate a lot of buzz
Mhm.
and make that your first priority. But then something that I learned from you when we interviewed on the podcast that really, I mean, y'all, I took notes from Kim, is about LinkedIn. How LinkedIn is like a 1-2 punch that it will show up on Google. So I'm going to start because of you, Kim. I'm going to start using LinkedIn more and trying to do that more. But for me, for some reason, Instagram seemed to be where my audience grew at a faster pace. I started getting more comments, more interaction, and I actually booked my TED Talk from somebody a curator who reached out to me on Instagram. And so at first, I had my husband and there was like, and friends going, why are you, I'm not scrolling through Instagram. I am optimizing my Instagram. So I am delivering as much value and in getting my message out there in the best way possible. And I'm looking for other people who are like-minded that I can connect and collaborate with on Instagram. And by doing that, I built it up to 10,000 followers. And that was by really taking action. And that was when someone would comment on my post, I would go comment on theirs. That's how you build. It is a social platform. That means we're supposed to be social. So if someone comments on my post, then I go comment on their post. And then lo and behold, you start to grow your following, because if you leave a comment that is pinnable, somebody might pin your comment on their post, then that's your chance of more eyeballs getting on your Instagram handle. And so by the time I had my manuscript to my publisher, I grew my Instagram to 10,000. I was able to do that swipe up in your stories. But I think that by connecting with people, the worst thing that you could do would be to buy followers, because guess what? If you're buying followers, those fake followers aren't going to show up at your book signing or your event,
Oh, totally.
buy a ticket. And so I would say the thing not to do is to buy following. The thing to do is really genuinely connect with people, DM them, not asking for something, but saying how, maybe you listen to their podcast, maybe their post resonated with you, and make genuine connections, go live with each other. If someone gives you a shout out, give them a shout out, like whatever you can do to start, collaborating and connecting with other people.
Well, and I feel like, kind of collaborating and connecting is so important. And I sense that there's a duality, I think, in your message, which is number one, get with that good community, get with people that are going to support you and take you to that 1%. And then also at some point, not necessarily moving away from the community, but sometimes then it's just you. Like at the end of the day, like waking up in the morning, putting your head on the pillow at night, like you have to believe in you, and you have to keep making that choice every single day to keep moving forward, which I think actually takes a ton of mental strength. And I was listening to you on a podcast like maybe a week ago, and you were being interviewed and you talked about something that really hit home for me, because you were an athlete and I was an athlete. And one of the things you were talking about is how coaches would always say, like, you grit it out. Like, you just you do one more push up, you do one more lap. As an entrepreneur, you stay one more hour later. Like you muscle your way through, for lack of a better term, you just like muscle your way to success. And that resonated with me. And then the next thing you said just kind of like stopped me in my tracks. I was actually cleaning the kitchen and I physically stopped. And you said, but you had to realize that that's not always the best way. Mm-hmm. That rest and actually not muscling your way through and gritting through things is just as important. So I'm curious, like for someone like me, who I definitely have not learned that lesson, by the way, and who also does not want to get in a motorcycle accident, how would you suggest that somebody like me kind of learns that lesson without going through like a catastrophic life-changing event?
Oh my goodness. I'm hard-headed. I'm stubborn. I think I have a PhD in suck it up. And I know grit, man. I think growing up in Texas is like you're born with a little grit. You find a way. And I always say, I believe in a miracle. Don't give up before the miracle. That's something I hang on to. But I was hit by an SUV, thrown 30 feet in the hospital, 34 surgeries. I still did not learn the lesson of you can't always suck it up and grit it out until about maybe a year after my accident, I ended up in ICU. I'd gone septic. I had a kidney stone that got lodged in my kidney, caused an infection, went septic, and I had a doctor tell me, if you would have waited one more day, you would have been dead. Another doctor came in and said, this is serious. You almost died. Like, you really almost died. Do you know if you would have waited one more? And I thought, wow, I have been so busy pushing and pushing and pushing and sucking it up and trying to, just ignore the pain and do whatever it takes, that I almost killed myself. And it was then that I realized, in order to be resilient, in order to be successful, we have to look at rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And if we really want to be resilient, sometimes we have to strategically stop and we have to put that rest in our day. And so for me, I every single night, I sometimes have a hard time shutting my brain off. I'm like, I want to do this and this and this. I do a brain dump, and that's one of the things, that the sticky notes on my desk. I do a brain dump and I put everything on paper so I can let it go. Sometimes I still can't let it go. So it's really hard for me to meditate. And so I use an app. I'm not affiliated or anything with this app, but it's called Calm, and they have all different kinds of meditations. And I know there's a ton of different meditation apps out there. And that's just a way for me to go, okay, Amberly, I don't have to grit this out and work 24 hours today. I can rest. And that sleep is so important. In fact, Kim, I have to tell you, last night, my daughter climbed in bed with me and her phone was going off. And I said, Ruby, you've got to make your phone stop. Really, and she goes, well, Mom, you can put it on vibrate. She goes, I have to turn mine off. It's not like your phone that has that thing on it that just shuts off, that even if there were an emergency, I wouldn't be able to get to you. But I had to go to that extent, like, to give myself some grace and get away from my phone. Is there's it shuts off. Things go straight to voicemail, not allowed to use electronics after like 8:45 at night, because if I didn't do that, I would just keep going and going and going. So I think it's important to, yes, we got to hustle. Yeah, we got to have that grit. But there's a fine line, and we got to know when to give ourselves the gift of grace and rest and recover. And I think that's hard as an entrepreneur, because we have to teach ourselves boundaries. We have to teach others healthy boundaries so that we can be more successful. And when we are rested and when we have healthy boundaries, we can be more in flow and we can actually get a lot more done.
Oh, 100%. And I will say, I know we're gonna get emails being like, what was that app she talked about? So if you go to sendmenotes.com, we're actually going to send you all the notes of all the tips and tricks that Amberly is telling us now. So just don't freak out. Don't email me 20 times being like, I still missed this one point. Just go to sendmenotes.com and the notes will be sent to you on Tuesday. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But I'm curious, Amberly, for somebody who's like, I am also having trouble shutting off my brain, or I'm also having trouble pacing myself, or because I also think, listen, even if you work at a corporate environment where we've all been doing work from home, or at least some of us have been doing work from home for the past 18 months, and boundaries seem to have gone out the freaking window. I mean, boundaries are like, what boundaries? Work, life, mess here. We're just all one big jumbled mess of a person. And so I'm curious for you, what are like one or two really small things that you're like, okay, if you can work on setting this boundary, it would be really helpful?
I think it's important for me, what I had to do was, and my 13-year-old helped me with this, was one day I came downstairs. So after COVID, my office building was closed down and I moved my office to my home. And my daughter was doing homeschool downstairs. And I came downstairs one day and I'm on my phone returning an email. And she's like, trying to talk to me, tell me something. And I'm like, wait just a minute. I need to finish this email. And she's like, well, if you're working, then you need to be back in your office. And I was like, ooh, okay, gotcha. And so I really set this boundary of when I'm in my office, I'm working. When I'm in my bedroom, we don't have a TV. That's time for cuddling and love and just sleep. When I'm downstairs, it's family time. When we're at the kitchen table, it's dinner time. It's not electronic devices, the TV's off to the best of our ability. I mean, sometimes, look, I'm human, I mess up. But setting those boundaries, and then also something that my assistant actually helped me with is, I'm like used to working 7 days a week and got to go, do all these things. And I had texted her on a Sunday and I'm like, "Oh, did you get back to that person? Did you email that person?" She goes, "Yes, I'll do that on Monday morning." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, there's office hours." Like, have your office hours and stick to them, but also really have those healthy boundaries with yourself. I got so busy and I had these big long to-do lists and I realized I wasn't even on my list. And so I had to set boundaries and go, wait a minute, I need my morning routine. I need time to be out in nature and I need and be with my daughter at the barn and our horse and I need time to move my body. So, it's not always perfect. If you could see my office right now, I was actually, before we started, I was doing pull-ups. I've got a pull-up bar in the little doorway here. I was doing push-ups. And so sometimes you kind of mix things in and multitask a little bit, but I think I feel better mentally, spiritually, physically. My business does better if I can set those healthy boundaries and stay within those boundaries. So I hope that helps.
Oh, totally. And I love this little song that Hannah offered us, which is "You'll play your best after you've had some rest." I think that's a little song we should probably all be singing to ourselves at some point, not just for kids, but
Mhm.
for adults as well. Because I think, yeah, rest can be such a hard thing to set for yourself. So I love this thought of like office hours. I love this idea of what room you're in kind of dictates how you're showing up in the space. I think that those are really healthy and I kind of feel like achievable, dare I say. I always get nervous when people give these like big answers that I'm just like, that's not achievable. Like I can't, like it's so lofty. Like I know I'm not going to do that.
I gotta get back to sometimes it's the simplest things. Like, I have to remind myself sometimes, Amberly, get back to the basics. I mean, basics. I mean, eat. Did you drink enough water? Are you sleeping? I mean, I have a tracker that tracks my sleep that tells me how much sleep I've had. I have a goal for how much water I'm going to drink. I have like the vitamin case with my supplements laid out for me each day, and I remind myself, and I will actually put it in my calendar. You need to eat at this time, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, like, oh, you're so busy, you have to remind yourself to eat. But when you're in that time of hustle, and as an entrepreneur, I know we've all been there. When you are in that launch season and you're in the middle of it, it's like I can go all day and be like, oh my gosh, I need to schedule a time to use the bathroom. It's crazy. And I mean, tomorrow I'm leaving to deliver 3 different keynotes. I'm launching a new book and a new program in the same week and a half. And so it's been a little bit of that hustle right now, to be honest with you. And so I have had to remind myself to get back to the basics. And I think that we all need to have some, no matter what, I'm going to stick to these things. So no matter what, I have a morning routine. No matter what, I start my day out with prayer. No matter what, I have a gratitude practice. No matter what, I have my supplements. No matter what, I connect with I have my accountability group. No matter what, and so no, whatever your values are, as far as like your business or your health, whatever that is, I think it's important to know those things and really stick to those to the best of your ability and keep it simple. Like, keep it simple.
Would you say that like that morning routine that you're talking about is sort of kind of your daily inspiration or like your best piece of advice to somebody is like, get a morning routine? Like, would
Yeah,
that be one of your foundational blocks?
yeah, you know what? I think that's a really, really good place to start because I am telling you, when I wake up, the first thing I want to do is check my phone. I want to check it. I want to look at those emails, but I know if I do that, even worse, open up Instagram or social media. Forget about it. You're pulled
Forget
in a
about it.
million different directions. Your intentions are out the window, your plan for the day. It's like you're constantly sidetracked, derailed, or maybe you're completely thrown off course. But if you start your day, no matter how busy it is, start your day with some quiet time so you can listen to what your needs are and focus on what your intentions are. I journal every day. I mean, I have several journal. I have one downstairs. I've got one actually in my purse. When I'm feeling really, really busy, I actually carry a little notebook in my purse too. One right here beside me. I think you don't have to have some ultra fancy journal, but just write out your thoughts. And it doesn't take much time. And if you can start a morning routine, and it all looks different for all of us. So whatever works for you, but time to commit to yourself, because aren't your big dreams, aren't your big goals, aren't you worth 10 minutes of your day? Now, I actually like more time than that. For me, ultimately, 30, 45 minutes of time to read something that inspires me, write down things, gather my intentions. Then I will go and think about what I want to create for a post that day, or, look at my schedule and see what the most top priority things that I'm going to get to do. Like, I have my list here and I say, I don't know if a highlighter just makes me feel like I'm getting more done when I can highlight and cross things off or not, but it sure does make me feel good. But whatever that morning routine is for you, I think it's really important to set aside that time so you get real clear on what your vision is and you can make a strategic plan to get things done instead of you being pulled in a million different directions.
Oh, I think it's so important. You made such a good point, which is you have to set the day up with intentional action before you get into reaction mode. Because
Yeah.
reaction mode is the minute you open up this thing and you're reacting to emails or you're reacting to social media. Like, that's all reactionary. That's not necessarily you doing intentional, deliberate action for your day. So I think that that's a hugely important point. I think I spend some time in the morning on that, but I think what's hard for me, and you sort of hinted at it, is like the minute I start traveling or like get out of it, then it's like the routine is just out
Mm.
the window. I have to get better about it when it comes to like changing the dynamics if I'm not necessarily at my house in
Oh,
my office.
I had a friend, she made fun of me because I still travel with books, and I travel with my journal and my book, and it's on my carry-on, and no matter where I am, look, there are some people that do great without that. For me, I feel like I'm a scattered mess if I don't have some downtime. And so it doesn't matter if I'm going away for work or if I'm going away for vacation. When I'm going away from vacation, my favorite thing to do is I know I'm going to have time to myself to really, even still, even though I'm on vacation, to focus on what my big goals are, even when I'm on vacation. Not that I'm taking this direct action on them, but it's a way for me to get quiet a little bit longer, have time to work out and go to the gym a little bit longer, do those things. And so it's really, I've tried it the other way, and I'm a hot mess if I don't have that time in the morning to gather my thoughts. And so I'm a nicer mom. I'm probably a little bit nicer to work with. So for me, it's like a non-negotiable. I have got to have that time in the morning, even if it means waking up at 4:30. I'll go to bed a little bit earlier the night before, just so I can have that time before I start my work day.
Hey, I love that. And I love this question from from Jeff, which is if you were, starting a business, or maybe you're just working in a corporate environment, or starting a new job, what would be your best advice to somebody who's maybe starting in a new career or starting in a new environment, a new job that they've never done before?
Show up early, be kind, always do your best. See how you can really provide value. And it doesn't matter for me, any job that I have ever had, whether, I was a barista at a little coffee pub, or a dance teacher, or I was scrubbing toilets, or I was a lifeguard. I showed up with such gratitude to have that job. And when you show up that way, you never know where that will take you. I remember my very first speaking gig. They gave me 5 minutes on stage. Everybody else had 20 to 50 minutes. And I had some people go, "Oh, aren't you upset they only gave you 5 minutes on stage?" And I said, "No, I am so grateful for this opportunity. I have 5 minutes. I'm going to make it the best 5 minutes they've ever seen. I'm going to show up early to the event every single day and ask how I can help. I'm going to stay late. And guess what? I am upstairs in the green room. I'm like praying that, because I know I'm going to go on stage in about 2 hours. I've got my shoes off. I'm like, oh, please just let me do a good job. My phone rings and I'm like, Salt Lake City area code. I'm in Salt Lake City. Who could possibly be calling me from Salt Lake City? I was like, I better answer this. I answered it. They're down, somebody from the stage. Our next speaker didn't show up. Can you be down here right away? I'm like, I'm your girl. I am right there. I'm on it. So I share that because it doesn't matter if you're starting somewhere new, or maybe you don't know, somebody's showing you the ropes. You don't know everything that you need to know. You feel new. You feel maybe a little insecure, or maybe you don't even like the job that much. If you show up doing your best, being grateful for the opportunity, seeing how you can add value, you never know where that can take you. That 5 minutes led me to being hired for their next event and their next event as a featured keynote speaker. And so just keep doing your best and be grateful, and that changed your life.
I love that. And I feel like that's such a good note as we get into my favorite part, which is the speed round questions, where we get to steal all like the little quick nuggets and tips straight from those journals and straight from those notebooks that you've been holding up in the shots. We're going to take all your notes down. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's have fun.
Let's do it. Okay. What is something that you have started using or doing lately that you absolutely love? Like a new app that you really love, or something new that you've been doing that you're obsessed with?
Oh, there's so much that I love. I would probably say, actually, right here on my desk, this is like, I call it my unicorn drink. So I drink, I'm big on taking supplements, especially since I was sick with COVID for like a month. It was bad. And I mean, I was vaccinated, not to get into that whole thing, but it's like, you know what? Our impact is only as big as we are strong. So it's so important to take care of your health. And this helps me, because my biggest fear, Kim, is the pain that I have from CRPS. When it gets really bad, I have really bad brain fog. And my fear is, oh my gosh, the brain fog's going to take over. I'm not going to be able to think clear enough, and blah, blah, blah. And so this has helped me with my immunity, my brain fog. But I
And
also,
what is
oh, it's called the pink drink. It's from a company called Plexus that I started using so much that now I just started sharing it with other people, because I figure, you know what? If something works for me, then why not share it with other people? And I'm happy to give you that link as well.
I love it. Yes. Okay. What is the best gift that you've either given to yourself or done for yourself in the last year?
Oh, I love that question, and the best gift, because I did not used to ever buy myself anything or do anything for myself. It was all about, I got to do this for invest, in the company. I've got to do this from, I'm going to save this and give my kids a gift. But this year I actually gifted myself some coaching sessions with one of our favorite people, Mitch Matthews, who I love. And I'm so grateful that I did that, because I'm so excited that he connected us. And I'm moving to Texas soon. And I'm, for the first time, got really excited about it, because I'm like, I am road tripping it over to seek him. And so I think as coaches, we all need coaches. We all need mentors. That's why I'm so big on masterminds, and I invest in masterminds. That's why I have my own mastermind. So I think it's really important to keep learning and growing, have somebody that you trust, to bounce ideas off of. And so that is the best gift I've given myself, because um, it's just so good to get sometimes as an entrepreneur, you feel kind of alone. It's important to go, no, I'm not alone in this. I can call my friend Kim up and say, what do you think about this landing page?
Oh, 100%. I feel like investing in yourself and your knowledge, it's the reason why I love doing this every single Wednesday, because I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning from everybody who's joining in the comments, and have you tried this and try that? And it's so crucial into getting better every day. So what's the next thing that you're really hoping to learn? If that's like, I really want to learn another language, or I really want to learn, I don't know, coding or something. Like, is there something that's kind of been on your learning to-do list that you haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah, you know what? I was just sharing this actually with Mitch yesterday, and I really want to get more organized. I am super organized when it comes to, you should even see my closet. Everything's like color coded, like my
Ooh.
files, everything is very organized. But like I mentioned earlier, I just bought my first laptop 5 years ago. And so I didn't even know how to send an email with a picture attached to it. Like, I had to really learn everything. So it's amazing that, I've learned how to do my own podcast, and have a TikTok account and Instagram, all these things. And I share that. I have no shame in sharing that, because I want anybody who's listening to this to know that you're never too old. It's never too late. You can always learn. And I have so much to learn. And I think one of the things that I'm excited to learn is how to get more organized with things like Dropbox and Google Docs. So I feel more organized with my computer. And I just got a brand new, beautiful computer here. But I'm really excited to learn more from you, Kim, about LinkedIn. I love learning from you and all that you share. You give such nuggets of gold that I'm excited to learn more from you. So thank you for all that you share.
Oh, 100%. And hopefully Angie's going to learn something from you right now, which is, what is a mastermind, for anybody out there who doesn't know what the word mastermind is, or what it means?
Okay, well, that is a good question, because there's so many different kinds of masterminds. But a mastermind is basically, I'll give you an example of mine, is a group of people, like 20 people who are like-minded, passionate, paving their way to success. And you meet, for my group, you meet once a week. You get to sit in the hot seat and claim who you are. Then you have to say what your big goal or what your big challenge is. Then everybody in the group goes around and they ask you clarifying questions, and then everybody in the group goes and they offers you counsel based on what they have already achieved in themselves, and they connect you with other people who will help you along the way. So it's a great way to bring brilliant minds together, share all your ideas and strategies and shortcuts to get you from point A to point B faster.
I love that. It's such a good answer. And as we think about people that are brilliant and that you like to learn from, I have this saying where, the old thing was you are the summary of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. But now with these things, you're the summary of also the accounts and the brands and the people that you follow on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or all of these other social media platforms. So I'm curious, what are a handful of, it could be individuals, it could be companies, it could be groups that you follow on social media channels that just light you up, that you're like, yes, I'm so glad that this came into my feed today because this really added value to my life.
Oh, well, you know what? Like I said, I mostly hang out on Instagram, but I'm gonna be hanging out on LinkedIn more now. But Instagram, I would say my friend Trent Shelton. I love him. He's the real deal. I'm excited I'll get to see him in a couple of days. We're sharing the stage at this event in Dallas. So I love Trent. He's just got a heart of gold. I also, one of my favorite people is Brendan Burchard, who he's all over the place, but he offers such good, solid peak for performance coaching. I mean, he's awesome. And I love my friend Brooke Hemingway. I've spoken at one of her events. She was just in my mastermind, but she's a mom with 6 kids, and she's really out there to support women. And all she shares through her Instagram feed is just her experience, and that, turning a mess into your message and empowering women. So those are a handful of people that always kind of light me up in so many different areas of my life. And then, like I said, I'm just learning from you and all that you're doing here. I'm blown away by your tech and your everything that you do with Coffee with Kim. And your courses, Kim. I told you when we interviewed on my podcast, I was like, "You're incredible. I take screenshots of your courses. They're so good."
Oh my God, stop it. No, I always think it's helpful to hear kind of who other people, it's always helpful for me to hear who other smart people are following, because especially if I don't know them, I get on these little things and I'm like, well, let me track down who they're following. And I kind of go down the rabbit hole of, then I end up on somebody like 3 people different, but
But
it's
that's how it
always,
works, right?
yeah, it's always like super helpful to kind of like go down that rabbit hole. But I'm curious. So we over here, we really love homework assignments. We're like those nerdy kids at the front of the class for like extra credit. So if you could give all of us here today a homework assignment, it could be to read a certain book. It could be to listen to something. It could be to do something. What would be a homework assignment that you would want to have us do in the next week?
Oh my goodness, I love this. So I really thought about that right before we went on. I'm like, what can I do? What can I give them? So I have the best homework, but I have this thing with homework. I have to, and even workbooks, I had to recreate it and call it a playbook. So I have created this playbook just for y'all. I'm like, if you text me the word grit, just GRIT, to 818-214-7378, just text me the word grit. You're going to get a playbook. And in that playbook, it's going to give you, all right, my PACER playbook, which stands for perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. And it's your 5 points to really take a look at your life and how you can get through difficult challenges, anxiety, depression, or if you just feel stuck. There are 5 ways for you to really, really tap into your superpower of resilience. So it's just this free downloadable playbook that is perfect for your homework, so you can be more resilient and go out there and get more goals done.
I love that. So I'm pointing to it, but I know LinkedIn doesn't let you click. So you cannot click this. You have to get out your own phone. I need to type it in. We'll also we'll drop it in the comments as well. So you can hopefully cut and paste it. And that'll be really easy for it to load in to your phone. But absolutely, we will be texting grit to the number below. Oh my gosh. Emily, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours, which
I
I
hope
do plan
too.
on doing.
I know.
Uh,
I can't wait. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, maybe get into some trouble. So we'll have to take selfies and send them to Mitch.
Absolutely. And I would say for anybody who downloads the playbook, please take a screenshot, tag us on your social media platform of choice, whether that is Instagram, whether that is LinkedIn, whether it's Twitter. I don't know what you use, but whatever you use, tag Amberly and I on it so that we can see that you're doing your homework and we can all do our homework together, which is so fun. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, Amberly. And where can people, is Instagram the best place for people to follow you? Is that like your main?
It's probably my main hub at
That's your main
Amberly
hub.
Lago Motivation. Yeah, but reach out to me. That number, even if you don't want the playbook, you can text me. I just want to stay connected. Or you can, there's other free download gratitude journal at amberlylago.com. I just try to think of as many things that I can give to really help others to be resilient and successful in their business, things that have helped me. So I'm just so grateful for you. You're so awesome.
I love it. Well, I just wanted to say I'm going to send a big cheers from me to you. I'm going to welcome you to Texas as soon as you get here. But thank you so much for joining, and thank you everybody for joining Amberly and I with your cup of caffeine or wine or whatever else you got in there,
I'm
um,
double.
or double up. We will be back next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the week.